Take it to the edge and be on that line. What if you fade out in the solar line? Take it to the edge, yeah, we built for more. Every limit we break, open up new doors. Take it to the edge, that's the life we chose. Where the pressure turn into diamonds and gold. Take it to the edge, yeah, we rise instead. Turn it doubt into drive, now we live in ahead. Yeah, right where the confidence, that's where
It
we
has filled up
at.
the
No
entire
limit
day.
that
It's
we
like
adapt, we
usual. It's
attack.
always like
Unenlightenment,
this.
don't do
I
it
feel
like
like
impact. White noise, raindrops, focus, don't crack.
it's
Type beat
yeah,
over
you
beat,
know,
no
it's never a
feedback.
silent moment really. That work becomes the silent moment. That's the thing. I think that's the mastery, really. And that is the path of least resistance I've just been talking about. That I'm figuring out. And the increase of awareness and knowledge that has one effortlessly being guided in the direction of just breathing and effortlessly doing the things. You're not even doing it. That's what I don't like saying, the doing, because it's not doing, it's just being. That's what the entire teachings of being is in all scriptures, to just be one with consciousness. And if the awareness is unlocked in a lot of areas there, you will have an advantage over the one that doesn't. Uh, so yeah, I really think that's the case. But what do you guys think about that?
I love the way you put it, man. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because I feel like if someone is truly living their life for themselves, every single living second is dedicated to that. You know, what they want to have, what they want to create. The doing, it's more when people don't know what their direction is, so then they do stuff to fill the void, the blankness, not with intent, but just with filler. That's what that made me think of. But no, I like the way you said it, man. It's just you are, and only logically you will do things to be what you are. Because if you don't do those things to be what you are not you. That's why you gotta. I saw a video about that today. Listen more to the soul. You know, it's not that voice telling you to do more. It's probably a real voice. Also, Edge, I saw you making some posts about that. Yeah, it kind of reminds me too of not sitting still. A river should flow because if water is still, it becomes, yeah, like if water sits still, it gets dirty, murky, filled with parasites, all of that stuff. You can look at life the same way. If you're moving in a direction, things will start blooming and unfolding the more you're there, but the moment you stop, it starts decaying rapidly, faster than you can build it up, most likely. So that's why consistency matters, man. Like I look at that, my space. My space is a good example, I think, because there was a time that I stopped doing them daily for a bit, and man, do you notice the difference instantly? It's like you're running on a track, keep running on that track. You can't randomly switch. So all of that together leads to not doing, but being. I like that a lot, man. Yeah. By the way, Edge, I don't know how long I can stay. I'm expecting a call any moment, but those people tend to be a bit late, and you're never late, so I'll stay here for as long as I can.
Wait, did you say I'm never late? That's true though, but yeah, I mean, time isn't real anyways. But what did you mean?
Yeah, I mean, you can't be late for this is because that's the edge of greatness once a day. You're always here every day, so that means you're on time because, time is a construct. So every day is every day, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my promise to myself every day. And I love what you said about the you studied yourself a little bit there. Like, I didn't host every day, and then I felt like this. But then when I do host every day, I feel like this. So it's a change. So you're not supposed to host every single day. That's the thing, because you need to learn that lesson too. You know what I mean? That's the lessons are what's important, not hosting every day. So the reflection, whatever brings out on a reflection, think I think that's good. you know, yeah, definitely. Yo, You have your hand up. You don't have to raise
Yeah,
your hand,
yeah.
man.
I know. I was like, I don't gotta do that stuff here. I know when he's done. I tend to get your cue. Sometimes I miss him. But no, that's really exactly what you said, Edge. I started thinking about two things from the space perspective, availability and scarcity. Two things, you know? So then I was like, maybe I shouldn't be here every single day because I don't know if I can bring enough value every single day. Meanwhile, bi-daily gives me more time to plan. So I tried that out, but I saw, nah, not really, because it really is about the conversation often, and it really is about, it's not just the host, it's everyone there. It's the whole conversation. That's the beauty of it. And yeah, I studied that, like you said, Edge, both ways, and I see clearly now that hosting every single day is the better option. Also, something that I know in my characteristic is if I go, I go. If I stop, I stop. That's very strong in me. If I go do something, I go. If I quit, I quit. You know, and that's in extremes, which is powerful. It is. I know this is something powerful within me. That's why, like, for me, consistency is less challenging because I just remind myself, remember the first day, remember what you wanted. Don't you already have achieved some of those goals? That's like looking back, like, okay, in this year, throughout my consistency, throughout the things that I do, what has happened? What has it brought me? Is that a good or a bad thing? And it's good. So you continue. And that's self-reflection. Very important, at least like monthly, weekly, like just self-reflection, taking a step back and evaluating yourself and be very critical. I mean, that's the way I do it. Very critical. There's a lot of improvement to be done, but that's good because then there's improvement to be done. So now you can go do it. And that feeling doesn't leave ever, I think. We're humans. We're always going to be more ambitious. Once you see the goal, you think you're just going to say, oh, okay, I reached the goal. I guess the next 50 years of my life is nothing. No, you will have a new goal, a new ambition, a new life, maybe even a completely different direction. Because the way I see it now is the first phase of my life was not knowing that I was right about it's all bullshit, it's all the system, it's all there just to make us slaves. Because I always used to think that. But the fact that I was still in school and you have people around you who are just saying, oh, but you have to go to school, it's normal, everyone does it, those type of sentences. And now it's like recently, I'm fully 100% sure that, yeah, I was right about those things. I really was. And even better, I'm surprised at how right I was about some of the crazy claims I used to have at a young age. And it's like, okay, so now that I know this, what do I do with this? And I understand that knowledge is powerful, so you can do powerful things with it for yourself. And that's really now, am I doing a lot of things like action, like, oh, this has it? No, because I want to have knowledge first as much as possible. In the meantime, you plan, and the way I see it is the plan can only get better if you have more knowledge. Which again, Edge, thank you, because you are one of the people who hammers this into the audience. And that's good. That's good. Not just this, but all of these things that if you keep to it, yes, the result will be success because that's just how it works. The people with success use these techniques, so why wouldn't we, if we know it works, you know? And again, skeptical with it, because it does get dangerous after a while. But again, that's for the that's the deep end. You don't have to go there to be successful at all. You can do it without. But I feel like I'm rambling a little bit here. Back to you, Edge.
No, I love that. It sparked a thought in me again. I went back to whatever you said. It brought me back to the doing. Like we're not doing. I don't think life is about doing. That's what I thought about when you said something there. It's, I really think that knowledge, like the one that has the most knowledge and actually understands the manifestation process and how that is inevitable, whether we're conscious of it or unconscious of it, if we're aware of it, I think we can't escape it. If we've felt how it works too, several times, uh, for ourselves, like if we've manifested things into reality, it becomes so real. And from that point, there is no turning back. It's just gain more knowledge and awareness of things. And what does this awareness and knowledge do? It makes us calm. Knowledge brings calm. And we know that energy has to flow. We're not in a creative mood if we are rigid in the brain, in our right brain half where we keep our frameworks. The energy has to flow in order to feel the best and to be able to do its best work. Even with money, it needs to flow at all times. It has to leave your bank account in order to be able to come back as something bigger. That's one example. Um, but we're not doing these things. Like these things are happening anyways. The only thing that is stopping things from happening is our unenlightenment, which is why people self sabotage. So it's about doing more. It's more about, positioning. Know that if we are in an environment where we're able to learn something every single day about ourselves, then that's the right path, I think. Because as I mentioned, we're reducing the suffering, and when we know that something is in a certain way, we've been afraid of it before, but now we have awareness of how it works. Let's say confronting someone at work, for example. Perhaps that has been a fear before, but now you know the psychology of both you and that person, and you can see that they're probably more afraid than you are because the majority of the population haven't worked on themselves. So they have the fear and they won't attack you. You will probably win the argument. When you know that, that fear just disappears and things just bend to your will because you have more knowledge, which is the ultimate leverage. You know, I really think, I want to think that's the way because it feels right. I'm careful with what I'm saying now. But yeah, this is deep stuff. Welcome to the edge of
Mhm.
greatness.
And that's why we love it, brother. That's why we're
I don't
here,
share
to
this in
have
other
these type
spaces
of
usually.
conversations, man. But yeah, I just want to double down on the whole work field thing. That is extremely true because oh man, I like to consider myself as someone who's pretty authentic. I don't care if it's a workspace. I do not care about that. We're humans. And I communicate with everybody as a human, not as a role in the function of the job, which many people do try. Guess what? If you are authentic, they will fail every single time. The amount of times that I've had managers and co managers and assistant managers try to power over me, no times it worked because really, like Edge said, understand they're human and understand they're probably insecure about the whole thing. That's why they're pushing authority so much. Because I was in a position of authority. I never use my authority in such a way. Even better, when I look at other people in the police force, they're brutal. They don't know shit about communication, and that's why they never solve problems. I also had to deal with anger a lot of times, people who are genuinely pissed off. None of those times I ended up needing to use anything physical. You know why? Because it's about the mental. I talked them out of whatever they had. And that comes from communication and also being very good at putting yourself in another person's position. Understand why they are reacting that way. Probably the solution is going to be simple. An example here is I was working somewhere and, well, a group of kids were somewhere where they were not allowed to be. And okay, let's look at this from a realistic standpoint without stupid, retarded rules behind it. So there's an entire field where people can walk, and there's dirt and there's dirt. And one of the places with dirt is not allowed to be walked on. It's still dirt. So the rule is kind of stupid. But of course, I have to enforce it. The thing is, I told the people, well, I know it's stupid that you can't be here, but understand these are complaints I have to take care of. I'm not here to be the big man, the big boss, because they were already challenging me before I even said a word. I understood that these people were already angry, so I changed the way I approached them with a simple goal in mind of calming them down. Now, this took a few minutes. I succeeded. Of course, someone who doesn't know shit about communication, then started screaming at me, saying that I didn't do my job properly and that I should have taken them by the neck and dragged them out, which is illegal, by the way. So I told the person, yeah, no, I literally said he's an idiot in his face. And then I told my boss, and I said, you want to know where this complaint is? I told my boss, yeah, I got a complaint from an idiot. I don't care. And my boss agreed. That's why authenticity matters, because if I would have played a role, the boss would have probably also played a role there, and then I would have done a bad thing. Instead, I was brutally honest about what happened, and my boss agreed with me and said that, well, this is how some people behave. Do not pay it attention. We don't mind the complaint at all. Because I was just being authentic. Yes, even in a workspace. It is so powerful in a workspace if you just say what's on your mind. Because most people there, they're doing nothing else than wearing a billion masks. Yeah, that's it.
So powerful, bro, because the fear is usually what steers human behavior in the other direction, caring more about what others think about us than actually going after the authenticity. The authenticity always wins, bro. You're right. I do think you're right. What do I know? I'm just a human. Um, but yeah, I mean, no, I'm not even a human. That's the thing. I'm a pixelated dog on the internet, and some call it cats. You know, Casket. I were touching on the topic that you like talked about in your space a little bit. You were mentioning people get married, and I talk to JPEGs online. Um, and then that brought me to like the probabilities mindset. You know that everything is probability. So let's look at marriages. Most of them ends. Most relationships ends. Divorces and things of that nature, and it becomes such a mess. So that's the highest probability of. Uh, there's a high probability of the marriage ending. Okay, you know, it's like statistical. And if that's the case, then when people get married, isn't it just it's not an upward trajectory from there. It's like a downward trajectory. You know what I mean? So if we're here online building our brands and stuff, we only have an upward trajectory. Isn't that the most favorable
Yes,
place to be? Then
yes. Edge, I really love that you said this because this is exactly the point I'm trying to make with the idiocy behind marriage nowadays. What marriage is, what a relationship nowadays is you have two people searching for love because they can't handle loneliness. Often that's the reason. Often, not saying always. So what they do is they meet a man or a girl, or a woman, my bad, and they want that person to like them as quickly as possible, as much as possible. So what do? They wear masks. They wear masks. They're feeding each other's egos constantly. The entire relationship is built on a lie. And now, for many people nowadays, that's like normal. Oh, yeah, because you need to get to know the person. Retarded. That's not how it should work. You need to get to know the person who really truly are. So what? You're gonna spend years listening to a lie, listening to a person who doesn't even know you, and you want to get married to that person? And then they say that marriage, like the way I do it, we Muslims, we do marriage very, very simply and very quickly. You go, you see a woman, you talk with her a few times. Okay, yeah, I see this working. You go to the father, you ask to get married. Very quickly, you get married. And then a lot of people in modern society, no, but you don't know each other. You need blah, 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 blah. That's the thing. The positioning is completely reversed because a traditional way of marriage is you don't really know everything about each other, but that's the beauty. You're sitting in the pace of, I don't know if this will work out, but we will make it work out. We will get to understand each other. We will love each other in each other's flaws. That's what that should be like. Like you said, Edge, only upward because you start at that, I don't know about it, but it gets better. Meanwhile, other people in the fake relationships of nowadays, they live in this perfect couple state, which they always think. There's no such thing as a perfect couple, yet everyone claims to have one in the beginning, in the first few weeks. The moment they start stripping away the mask, they can't stand each other. Meanwhile, with the other people, there was never a mask. And yeah, they saw that they didn't like things about each other, but they worked on it. They're improving it, balancing out the differences. Meanwhile, the other side is, yeah, the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite. From peak dopamine to depression, from depression to peak dopamine. I can say it in that way. That's just a random example I got here, but I really like that I saw a video about this today. Some, yeah, coincidence that is brought up here. Yeah, there's something behind that too. But I like that you said it, Edge, because oh brother, they all got it twisted. It's all reversed. The, relationships are gone to shit, especially in my generation. Yeah, it's funny to see though. And don't worry, there are still a lot of people who don't think like this. But yeah, like you said, Edge, I'm would rather spend my time doing this than having to go through 1 billion masks every few months. Which that's kind of the modernized dating world. You go on Twitter, you pretend a bunch, and not Twitter, Tinder. What's that thing called? Tinder? Yeah, yeah, that shit app useless. And I laugh at all of my friends who use it. It's so funny. They meet someone on Tinder, and then later they're telling me, oh, we're gonna get married. And I'm just like, yeah, sure you are, bro. 2 months later, it's done. In the most cold, brutal way ever. No goodbye, no explanation, just the girl leaves. You know why? Because it's all fucking Tinder. Tinder. It's a dating app. No one gives a shit about you. They're just there for other things. And yeah, that's not where we're supposed to be. Shout out to everybody who's pushing on real things. I'm not wasting time on lust relationships. I can't mute my mic. Okay.
I love that you said lost relationships. It's usually like that. I like to see it as, yo, we're talking about relationships now. This is good. This is one very important part of spirituality to understand, I think, to not get trapped in the lust. It's a very important piece of knowledge in this topic. And we all have a void inside that needs to be filled by something. And it's never anything in the physical realm. Not another human, not a hamburger, not a video game, no Netflix, nothing. So the answer is never outwards. The answer is always inwards. Do you know who you are? When you meet someone, when you meet someone else, it's really not that you're getting to know that person. You're getting to know yourself more. I think that's the answer because it's everything is a mirror on the outside of yourself, right? Everything outside of yourself, if you choose to see it that way, can be feedback from truth, real feedback. And this is no different in relationships either. Stumbling upon this information at first can sound very lonely, but it really isn't. If you go deeper, it won't get lonelier. On the other side, it's actually the, as little lonely as it can possibly be. So if you're new to this information, it's probably gonna get worse for a while, but then you will get, if you continue and break through this understanding and let it sink in a little bit, it will probably turn out to be the best thing you've done. You know, so yeah, man, I could talk about that forever too, but a book that is very healthy to read about these things is definitely The Power of Now, relationships, and how hard it is to be together with someone that is enlightened, and then that counterpart is not enlightened. That's a relationship breaker. Like, it's like day and night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something deep, bro, Edgy. That's something I think about a lot too, man. It's like, yeah, it doesn't work. And like sometimes I'm like, yeah, opposites can, but I think in this, it doesn't work because, oh man, like Edge, I literally like live experience with this. You can try to enlighten people, yeah, like even if it's a partner from opposite gender, whatever, you can try, but man, it ain't easy because it's like some people they hear your words, they nod yes, and they think you're crazy. And that's it. That's it. And the best part about it is they won't say it in your face. They'll just pretend to play along with, oh yeah, this is that and this. And that doesn't work out. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It's such a big clash because like you get words thrown at your face like, oh, you're arrogant and how dare you say this and how dare you say that. And it's like I'm just stating the truth. Do you not see it? You don't see it. Goodbye. What else is there to do? And you can try for a long time. Although I do gotta say, it's always worth spending some time enlightening people. I mean, I do that often, and I gotta say, most of the times it works. The people learn something new, and they come back to you like, "Oh, bro, I did this," and that's good. But when it comes to a relationship, it's a tricky one. But there's a bunch of people who are enlightened out there, and like the way I look at it is tribe attracts tribe eventually. So even with your significant other, if if you take love as a very serious matter, I think you will find a partner that does fit in with you. Again, if you let lust play into that role, you're probably not going to find the one who is meant for you. You're just going to find someone who's temporarily going to give you joy. And that's it. And then the marriage fails and they break apart when the masks are stripped away once again. But yeah, man, Edge, that's something I think about every now and then. Like, yeah, how do we go about that? How do we find people like that? But it's possible. I met all of you guys. Hey, good to meet you. So it's definitely possible. And I would say it's not something that should take a lot of energy of thinking. It's just, it will happen eventually at the moment that it's most unexpected. Most of the time, that's what I hear, you know? And be patient because like I know people, they're religious, they're 26 and they haven't had a girlfriend ever, and they're like, yeah, I don't give it, I don't, the thought doesn't even appear in their head like, oh, I'm still a virgin, I still haven't had a girl. They don't think about that stuff. They just think about, I gotta be continuing a righteous path, eventually God will grant me my significant other, and in the meantime, I continue with my journey. And that's really how it should be because it can turn into such a big distraction. And that's why, also, for now, I've decided to stay away from all of that because I know the type of person I am. I know how deeply attached I can get to someone. So it's a waste of time right now because, yeah, I've seen how it doesn't really help me now, maybe in the future. Now I get to spend all of that energy on myself instead. So relationships is definitely a tricky thing, man, because it can be so empowering, but it can also be so destructive. And that's, yeah, it's a thin line between the two, I feel like.
Yeah, it is a thin line, bro. I think that thin line is the bridge. It's definitely knowing about the ego. That's one thing. You know, we create an identity of something which holds up this mask that you've been talking about, right? That's what holds up the mask. And it's probably a fear of a mix of things. One of those things could be a fear of not having your fiance or whatever actually like you for who you actually are, you know, behind that mask, to keep that mask up. So, yeah, there's a mix of things, but it's usually about those fears, you know. If we master the fear, greed, and lust and stuff, think that's a very good thing to do. But um accepting, bro, that's what I was trying to find. Accepting the how do you say it? Like the one that you're together with, like accepting their flaws as they
Yeah,
are, accepting it exactly as they are. I think a relationship like that can grow from that, you know what I mean? But if the acceptance, if the enlightenment of that part hasn't come through yet, it can be very difficult, you know, because it is a commitment. Takes work to like build a relationship and stuff. It's not, yeah, and I think it can be effortless too, with more understanding and knowledge and stuff. So, but I think that acceptance part, I think that one is standing out a lot right now when I'm looking at this. Really, you know, we've been talking about relationships. That's awesome, bro. I'm actually gonna use this space as a podcast for Spotify and YouTube. If you guys are up for it, I'm gonna put it up um today even, I think, and then yeah, I'm getting consent from Casket now with private emojis. Let's go. I hope you guys that are listening to this podcast are enjoying the topics that we're talking about. And if you're listening to this podcast right now, me, Edge, is obviously talking from the past because this is recorded. But if you want to hear these podcast episodes live and hear the rough, what do you call the raw, like
the raw,
the raw
unfiltered.
takes? Yeah. Yeah, if you want to hear the raw takes, then you can tune into the Spaces on X. It's called Spaces, but it's kind of podcasts. But it's it's stages with audiences, digital stages with digital audiences, and we're talking to each other and about topics like this. And what is a space really? It's about sharing your own thoughts because it's your space with your audience to share your own thoughts, and you can structure this up, and it's really a good place to use as a podcast, I think, as well. And I'm gonna get a better mic very shortly as well, so it's gonna sound better too. There's always upgrades to be made if one wants to. I'm usually listening through my own spaces as well to see what can be improved also in an authentic way. Never to please anyone else because I'm afraid of it, but to please the people because the ones that I want here is authentic people. So I'm gonna move in the authentic way. I just want to really see that I am the much as much me as possible. That's why I'm listening back to the spaces and where I'm insecure and where I can work on these things. And yeah, I think I've done a very good job over the past year. But yeah,
Oh, my mic was on. Edge, I want to thank you for something that you did without the intent, but I just came up with an amazing space title. I will only send it to you because, yeah, this is amazing. How has no one come up with this title? Look at the DM, bro. That's between you and me, but, um, Edge Meta.
really?
Bro, it makes
Did you send
sense.
it?
Yeah, I sent it right now. It makes sense because it's like this, and then also like this. You know? Does that make sense?
So
Only to
you're gonna
you?
change your space name to that?
No, no. It's gonna be for the weekends only. So I'm gonna have no cap casket, and then just like this with that emoji. Oh,
Oh, okay.
also, since I'm sending you this, I'm claiming this emoji completely. I don't see anyone using it. It will be mine. It makes sense with what I talk about. So, yeah. Just did a little bit of
It
brainstorming.
makes a
Sorry,
lot of
everybody, that
sense.
I had to do that here. But it makes a lot of sense, don't
No, it's fine.
it? Thank you, Edge.
Yeah, it makes.
This is what I
Yeah,
like
this
about.
is this. Yeah, no, that's fine. This is the intuitive actions, inspired action. That's what it is. You get inspired through your senses with God's energy in motion violently. And if you pay attention, you can you can take action on whatever you find suits you. So appreciate that, Casket. That's awesome. Work on that. The things that we work on can be so simple, and then it grows extremely big into empires. That idea right there, that's the multi-million-dollar idea. That's what it looks like. So, you know, take that, and you don't have to force anything into fruition either. You just follow along whatever comes with that, because now you've cleaned up something in your river, and the next idea will come effortlessly as well. Shout out to all you guys for pulling up today. I wish you guys a fantastic rest of your day or night, and I'll catch you guys next time. This has been The Edge of Greatness, the podcast and space on X, episode 467 on X, and podcast episode number 9 on Spotify and YouTube. Study the science of art, study the art of science, learn how to see, realize that everything connects to everything else. Walk with truth, walk with power, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
We standing tall on the edge every day, but we never gon' fall. Type John, we ain't here to pretend. Real talk, turn strangers to friends. Level up, then we do it again. Push each other to the edge and extend. Breathe in, let it slow down. Clear mind, we in control now. One step past the old bounds. On the edge, we don't fold now. Take it to the edge and be on that line, where the fear fade out.